What does it cost to build a group that rewrites Billboard history? JYP Entertainment didn't just sign 8 young men and hope for the best. The company poured years of training, production resources, creative infrastructure, and cold hard cash into every single member of Stray Kids long before a single album charted. From covering housing, vocal coaching, dance instruction, and language lessons for trainees who hadn't earned the company a single won, to funding a full survival show on national television, to handing over professional-grade studios so 3 of those trainees could produce their own music. The investment was real, calculated, and enormous. And when all 8 members finally delivered 7 consecutive #1 debuts on the Billboard 200, a record no artist in the chart's 70-year history had ever achieved, JYP founder Park Jin-young responded with a gift that put the weight of that achievement into pure gold. But here's the question. When you break it down, member by member, what exactly did JYP invest in each one, and which member received something so significant it changed the entire direction of his career? Let's count it down. Number 8, the second chance that built a main dancer, Lee No. In 2015, a teenager named Lee Min-ho walked into a JYP Entertainment audition after being spotted at a dance competition in Seoul. He performed Thought of You by John Park, gave it everything he had, and then walked out into silence. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. No callback, no rejection letter. Just nothing. Most people in that situation would assume the worst and move on, and that's exactly what Lee Min-ho did. He went back to what he knew best, dancing, and threw himself deeper into the professional scene. He joined dance crews like Cupcakes and Brownie Bros, trained at Seoul Dance Studio, and built a reputation sharp enough that his crew performed as special guests at the 2016 World of Dance competition. But the real turning point came when he landed a job as a backup dancer for BTS. This wasn't some minor gig. Lee Min-ho appeared in the Not Today music video, performed on stage during the Fire and Spring Day eras, and traveled with BTS on the early 2017 leg of their Wings tour, including shows in Japan. He was standing on some of the biggest stages in K-pop night after night, performing in front of tens of thousands of fans, but he was standing behind someone else. And that's when something shifted inside him. He later said that being on those stages made him realize he didn't want to spend his career dancing behind another artist. He wanted to be the one at the center. The problem was, he'd already been rejected by one of Korea's biggest agencies, or at least that's what he believed. Then, in 2017, 2 full years after that silent audition, JYP Entertainment called him. The company had gone back through its old audition records and found his file. They asked if he was still interested in becoming a trainee. He said yes. He officially entered JYP on July 15, 2017. And here's where the investment from the company becomes staggering when you consider the timeline. At major K-pop agencies like JYP, trainees typically spend months or even years learning the company's systems: vocal technique, rap delivery, stage presence, variety skills, language training, all on top of the dance fundamentals that JYP requires every trainee to master before progressing. JYP Entertainment has a standardized set of 40 foundational dance moves that every trainee must pass. Most trainees take weeks or months working through them gradually. Lee No was given 2 weeks. Not because he chose to rush it, but because the Stray Kids survival show was about to begin filming, and if he didn't pass those 40 moves in time, he wouldn't make the cut. So JYP poured an accelerated version of its entire trainee development program into one person in a compressed window that the industry had rarely seen. Vocal coaching, rap lessons, 4 new songs to learn every single week, the 40 foundational moves, and stage preparation, all crammed into roughly 14 days. And He passed. He made it onto the survival show alongside the other trainees that Bong Chan had been working with for months. But the pressure didn't let up. On the show, Lee No's dance skills were never in question. He was already a seasoned professional. What concerned Park Jin-young was his confidence outside of dance, particularly in rap performance, where his delivery lacked the sharpness the show demanded. In episode 4, which aired on November 7, 2017, Park Jin-young eliminated him from the lineup. For a trainee who had already waited 2 years in silence after his first audition, cut again, this time on national television, could have been the end. But JYP's investment in Lee No didn't stop at the elimination. The company kept him in the training system, allowed him to continue practicing at the facility, and monitored his progress behind the scenes. Park Jin-young later acknowledged on the show that after removing Lee No and fellow member Felix from the group, the remaining 7-member lineup felt incomplete. Something about the chemistry was off. The group didn't carry the same energy. So, in episode 9, JYP made a decision that would cost the company more resources but ultimately define the group's future. He brought both eliminated members back for a final live mission, wanting to see whether the 9-member version of Stray Kids could recapture what the 7-member version was missing. They performed together, and the answer was clear. The original 9 held a chemistry that couldn't be manufactured. Lee No was reinstated, and Stray Kids debuted on March 25, 2018 as a 9-member group. From that point, JYP's continued investment in Lee No extended across every dimension of his career. As main dancer, he became the group's movement architect, the member other members turned to during rehearsals to refine choreography. His professional background meant he could teach, correct, and elevate the group's performance standard in ways that saved the company time and external choreography costs. JYP facilitated his individual artistry through the SKZ Player platform, where Lee No released Dawn on July 3, 2019, a solo dance piece he personally choreographed, blending contemporary and hip-hop styles. It became the first ever individual SKZ Player video in the series, setting the template for every solo member project that followed. The company also placed him as a fixed MC on MBC's Show Music Core from August 2021 to November 2023, a 2-year run hosting alongside NCT's Jongwoo and Kim Minju that expanded his public profile far beyond the group's existing fan base. And in June 2025, the fashion brand Gucci announced Lee No as their global brand ambassador, a deal facilitated through JYP's management infrastructure, the kind of luxury endorsement that doesn't happen without years of strategic brand positioning by the agency behind the scenes. Then came September 2025. After Stray Kids' album Karma became their 7th consecutive #1 debut on the Billboard 200, a feat no artist in the chart's 70-year history had ever achieved, Park Jin-young personally gifted each member a framed plaque containing 20 dawn, 75 grams, of pure gold. The total for all 8 members came to 160 dawn of gold, valued at over 100 million Korean won, roughly 72 to 74,000 US dollars. The members posted photos holding their plaques with the caption, "Thank you, PD Nim," and described the gifts as items they would keep displayed forever. For Lee No specifically, that gold plaque represented something the numbers alone can't capture. This was a man who auditioned in 2015 and heard nothing for 2 years, who danced behind BTS and dreamed of standing at the center, who got a second chance from the same company that ghosted him, only to be eliminated on national television during the survival show, and who then got a third chance because the company recognized that the group simply didn't work without him. Every won JYP spent training him in that impossible 2-week window, every resource they invested in bringing him back after elimination, every platform they built for his solo artistry and public visibility, it all compounded into a career that now includes global brand deals, Billboard records, and pure gold. But the most expensive thing JYP ever gave Lee No wasn't the gold plaque or the MC position or the Gucci pipeline. It was the phone call in 2017, the one where someone at the company pulled up a 2-year-old audition file and decided to try again. And if you think that second chance was a big investment, wait until you hear what JYP bet on the member coming up next. Number 7. The Facebook DM that launched a global icon. Felix. In 2016, a 16-year-old kid named Lee Yom-bok was training at a dance academy in Sydney, Australia, living a completely normal life as a student at St. Patrick's Marist College in Dundas, New South Wales. He had 2 sisters, Rachel and Olivia, parents who supported his love for dance, and 0 plans to move to the other side of the world. Then, a woman from JYP Entertainment sent him a direct message on Facebook, asking if he'd be interested in coming in for an audition. His first instinct was pure skepticism, what he later described as a feeling of stranger danger. A random message from a Korean entertainment company reaching out to a teenager in suburban Sydney did not exactly scream legitimate opportunity. But when he mentioned the message to the head of his dance academy, the response was immediate and direct. Try out. So Felix showed up, performed a freestyle dance that impressed the judges, and within 2 weeks of that audition, he was on a plane to Seoul. Not in a few months, not after a gap year to think it over. 2 weeks. He arrived in South Korea around February 14, 2017, at the age of 16, alone, leaving behind his family, his school, his friends, and every familiar thing in his life. And here's what JYP Entertainment was betting on: a teenager who could dance, had no professional vocal or rap training, and spoke almost no Korean. The language barrier wasn't a minor inconvenience. Felix had grown up in an English-speaking household in Sydney. Despite his Korean heritage, he had minimal exposure to the language, and when he entered JYP's trainee system, he could barely communicate with the other trainees or follow instructions from coaches. The company had to invest in intensive Korean language training alongside the standard idol development pipeline: vocal coaching, rap instruction, stage performance, variety skills, all compressed into a timeline that was already brutally tight because the Stray Kids survival show was being planned for later that year. The financial weight of that investment was substantial. At major K-pop agencies, like JYP, trainee costs typically run around 3 million Korean won per month per trainee, covering housing, professional instruction, and facility access. For Felix, the investment included everything a standard trainee received, plus additional Korean language classes designed specifically for foreign trainees, an extra layer of cost that the company absorbed, knowing there was no guarantee this Australian teenager would ever make it to debut. And the survival show nearly proved those doubts right. In the Stray Kids reality program that aired in late 2017, Felix's language struggles became the defining narrative of his arc. He'd only been studying Korean for roughly 2 months by the time cameras started rolling. His pronunciation issues compounded with his naturally deep voice, a voice that sat so low in the bass register that any slight mispronunciation became amplified and harder for listeners to parse. The very thing that would eventually become his most iconic trait was, at that stage, working against him. When fellow trainee Lee No was eliminated earlier in episode 4, Felix lost one of his key support systems. Lee No had been helping him practice Korean behind the scenes. Without that daily lifeline, the gap widened. In episode 8, which aired on December 5, 2017, Park Jin-young eliminated Felix from the lineup, citing his Korean language proficiency as a primary factor. The elimination was devastating, and not just for Felix. Viewers and fellow trainees reacted with visible emotion. Many fans argued the decision was harsh given the improvement he'd already shown in such a compressed time frame. But JYP's investment calculus didn't end at the elimination. The company kept Felix in its system, continued his training, and in episode 9, Park Jin-young brought both Felix and Lee No back for a final live mission. The reasoning was the same as it had been for Lee No. The 7-member lineup didn't carry the same chemistry as the 9-member version. Something essential was missing. After the final performance, the decision was made. All 9 members would debut together. Felix was back. From that point forward, JYP's investment in Felix accelerated across every front. The company continued funding his Korean language development for years after debut, and the results spoke for themselves. By 2021, language observers noted he had achieved strong conversational fluency. By 2025 and 2026, analysts described his Korean as that of someone fully integrated into the language, no longer sounding like a foreigner who learned Korean well, but like someone who had lived abroad and returned. That transformation didn't happen by accident. It happened because a company decided to keep paying for a 16-year-old's language classes even after he'd been eliminated on national television, because they saw something in him worth the continued expense. And what they saw was a voice. Not just any voice, a voice so deep, so distinctively bass-heavy that it became the sonic fingerprint of the entire group. Felix's tone sits in a register that most male K-pop idols simply don't occupy. When he delivers a killing part in a Stray Kids track, those key moments that define a song's identity, his voice functions as a dramatic, rhythmic anchor that cuts through everything else. The contrast between his soft, youthful, almost angelic visuals and that cavernous bass became one of K-pop's most recognizable dualities. He often calls himself the bass of the group, and the description is precise. JYP built platforms to showcase this. Through the SKZ Player and SKZ Record series, Felix released solo tracks like Deep End in 2022 and Unfair on the SKZ Hop Hip tape in December 2024, each produced and distributed through the company's infrastructure and promoted across official channels to a global audience. The company facilitated his individual artistry while maintaining the group's cohesive brand, a balancing act that costs real money in studio time, production resources, and marketing coordination. Then came the brand deals. In August 2023, Louis Vuitton announced Felix as house ambassador after artistic director Nicolas Ghesquière met him at the brand's pre-fall 2023 show in Seoul and was struck by his energy, personality, and fashion sense. Felix went on to appear in seasonal campaigns, attend major shows including the Cruise 2024 presentation in Italy, and participate in initiatives like the Silver Locket Collection supporting UNICEF in 2025. These luxury partnerships don't materialize without years of strategic brand positioning by the management agency behind the scenes. JYP's investment in building Felix's individual public profile was the foundation that made those deals possible. And in September 2025, when Park Jin-young handed each member a framed plaque containing 75 grams of pure gold to celebrate 7 consecutive Billboard 200 #1s, Felix had a characteristically Felix response. When he appeared on You Quiz on the Block on December 24, 2025, host Yoo Jae-suk asked about the gold gift. Felix confirmed the story. Park Jin-young had presented the plaques during a group meal, and when Yoo Jae-suk asked where he kept such a valuable item, Felix casually replied that he'd placed it neatly next to his closet in his room. The audience laughed. It was such a perfectly understated reaction from someone whose entire career had been defined by extremes: a deep voice and a delicate frame, a stranger danger Facebook message that became a life-altering audition, an elimination that could have ended everything, but instead became the setup for one of K-pop's most compelling comeback arcs. JYP spent money on language classes, vocal training, dance development, creative platforms, brand strategy, and 75 grams of gold. But the most expensive bet they ever placed on Felix was the one they made before any of that: the decision to fly a 16-year-old who couldn't speak Korean halfway across the world on the strength of a single freestyle dance and a Facebook DM. And if that gamble paid off as well as it did, wait until you hear what JYP invested in the member who turned raw intensity into the group's lyrical backbone. Number 6. the dark rapper who transformed JYP's sonic identity, Changbin. In 2016, a high school student named Changbin was sitting in a classroom in Yangin, Gyeonggi Province, facing the intense academic pressures typical of South Korean teenagers. His parents initially envisioned a traditional path for him, encouraging him to focus on his studies and aim for a prestigious university. But Changbin had a different dream. He wanted to stand on stage. When he first enrolled in an academy to pursue music, he aimed to become a vocalist. He practiced singing ballads and working on his vocal control. However, during his training, a vocal coach noticed something distinct about his voice. Changbin possessed a naturally gravelly, resonant, and dark timbre, combined with an innate razor-sharp sense of rhythm. The coach gave him a piece of advice that would alter his life forever. Stop trying to fit into the standard ballad mold and start rapping. Changbin took the advice and threw himself into hip-hop. When he auditioned for JYP Entertainment in 2016, he didn't perform a standard cover of a famous song like most applicants. Instead, he danced to an original track he had composed himself. The recruiters at JYP immediately recognized that they weren't looking at a typical trainee who just wanted to perform. They were looking at a creator who understood how to construct a beat, deliver a rhyme, and command attention. Upon entering JYP Entertainment in 2016, Changbin found himself in an agency known historically for bright, polished, hook-heavy pop music. JYP had established its legacy on groups like 2PM, GOT7, Twice, and Miss A, whose tracks were largely acquired from established external producers or written directly by company founder Park Jin-young. But inside the trainee practice rooms, something different was brewing. Changbin crossed paths with two other trainees, Bang Chan, an Australian trainee who had already spent 5 years at the company, and Han Ji-sung, a talented young rapper who had lived in Malaysia. The three discovered an instant creative synergy. In late 2016, prior to any official group announcement or television debut, the three secretly formed an underground hip-hop production unit called 3 Racha. Changbin adopted the stage name Spearb, derived from his surname So, which translates phonetically to spear. Working out of small, cramped studio spaces using basic digital audio workstations, the three trainees began writing, composing, arranging, and recording their own original mixtapes. They uploaded their first mixtape, titled J/2017/mixtape, to SoundCloud in early 2017. Tracks like Runner's High and Matryoshka showcased Changbin's signature style, an aggressive, fast-paced, high-energy rap delivery anchored by a dark, metallic tone that earned him the title of the group's dark rapper. This was where JYP Entertainment made one of the most significant strategic investments in its corporate history. Recognizing that 3 Racha possessed a genuine capability to produce commercial-grade music, JYP didn't shut down their independent SoundCloud project or force them to conform to traditional agency songwriting camps. Instead, the company provided them with state-of-the-art production equipment, professional recording software, and dedicated studio space inside the company headquarters. For Changbin, this meant that while other K-pop trainees were spending all their hours practicing pre-assigned choreography, he was given access to high-end audio engineering resources and freedom to shape the sonic identity of the upcoming boy group. When the Stray Kids survival show aired on Mnet in late 2017, the very first track that introduced the world to the group was Hellevator, a song co-written and co-produced by 3 Racha, featuring Changbin's opening explosive rap verse. The track was so strong that Park Jin-young used it as the benchmark to evaluate whether the trainees were ready to debut. Rather than spending hundreds of thousands of dollars purchasing lead singles from famous foreign songwriting camps, JYP invested in the creative brain trust inside its own trainee basement. Following Stray Kids' official debut on March 25, 2018, Changbin's role as a primary composer and lyricist became a cornerstone of the group's commercial engine. He didn't just rap on the tracks. He constructed the lyrical frameworks, designed complex rhythm schemes, and vocal directed his fellow members during recording sessions. Over the next several years, Changbin's output grew at a staggering pace. By registering his compositions with the Korea Music Copyright Association, KOMCA, Changbin accumulated over 150 official song credits, placing him among the highest credited idol producers in Korean music history. His signature noise music, or malate style, characterized by heavy bass lines, industrial synth textures, and rapid-fire cadence changes, became the hallmark of Stray Kids' global breakthrough. But despite achieving massive commercial success with album sales and international tours, Changbin faced a persistent stigma that has haunted the K-pop industry for decades: the belief that idol rappers are not real rappers, but merely singers who were assigned to rap because they couldn't hit high notes. Determined to shatter that prejudice, Changbin made a bold decision in 2020. He signed up to compete on Mnet's Show Me the Money 9, South Korea's premier underground hip-hop competition show. The environment on Show Me the Money is notoriously hostile towards K-pop idols. Underground rappers and judges frequently view mainstream idols with skepticism, treating their appearance on the show as a publicity stunt. Changbin walked into the preliminary evaluation room alone, without his group members, wearing contestant number badges alongside hundreds of underground rappers. In the first round, standing directly in front of producer Judge Justice, one of the most technically demanding rappers in the Korean hip-hop scene, Changbin delivered an a cappella rap verse that blew through the room with absolute precision, vocal power, and breath control. Justice handed him the qualifying necklace on the spot. Changbin publicly stated his motivation during the broadcast. He was living a happy, successful life as an idol, but he wanted the hip-hop community to respect the technical skill of Stray Kids' rap line. His appearance earned widespread respect across the industry, proving that his technical speed, projection, and lyrical composition were legitimate by any standard in Korean hip-hop. JYP's investment in Changbin's individual voice continued through the SKZ Player and SKZ Record initiatives. Through the SKZ Player and SKZ Record initiatives, Changbin released deeply personal solo tracks that revealed a completely different side of his artistry. In May 2020, he released Streetlight, featuring Bangchan, a track he wrote to express the emotional burden of feeling like a streetlight, standing bright to illuminate others while concealing one's own internal darkness and pain. He followed this with tracks like Doodle and Cypher, showcasing his ability to pivot between raw vulnerability and uncompromising technical flexes. The commercial world took notice as well. Electronics giant Samsung recruited Changbin to write and produce promotional tracks like Fly High for their Galaxy flagship smartphones, leveraging his personal brand as a producer to market tech products to global youth culture. When July 2024 arrived, all 8 members of Stray Kids renewed their exclusive contracts with JYP Entertainment early, demonstrating complete alignment with the company's long-term vision. That trust paid massive dividends. By September 2025, Stray Kids made Billboard chart history when their 4th studio album, Karma, debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, marking their 7th consecutive #1 debut. To celebrate this milestone, JYP founder Park Jin-young presented Changbin and his bandmates with customized framed plaques containing 20 dun, 75 grams of pure gold, valued at over 100 million won total. For Changbin, that plaque was more than a financial reward. It was proof that a teenager who once danced to his own beat in an audition room had transformed the sound of an entire entertainment conglomerate. JYP provided Changbin with high-end recording equipment, studio access, copyright freedom, national TV platforms, and a pure gold plaque to mark a historic Billboard run. But the most valuable thing JYP ever gave Changbin was the trust to let a young trainee write his own songs instead of forcing him into someone else's mold. And if you think giving Changbin the keys to the studio was a massive gamble, wait until you see the leader who brought this entire team together from scratch.
Number 5. The 7-year trainee who handpicked an empire, Bangchan. On October 3, 1997, Christopher Bang was born in Seoul, South Korea, before moving at a young age to Sydney, Australia, where he grew up immersed in music, swimming, and performing arts. He attended Newtown High School of the Performing Arts in Sydney, honing his musicality and stage presence. In 2010, at just 13 years old, he stepped into a local audition room for JYP Entertainment's global audition in Australia. Competing against 800 other hopefuls, he impressed the judges with his vocal control and piano playing, securing the Seoul passing ticket. On April 11, 2011, 13-year-old Christopher left his family in Australia and moved to Seoul alone to begin what would become one of the longest, most grueling trainee journeys in modern K-pop history. For 7 full years, 84 consecutive months, Bang Chan lived in JYP Entertainment's trainee dormitories. In the fast-moving K-pop industry, 7 years is an absolute eternity. During those 7 years, Bang Chan watched wave after wave of his closest trainee friends get selected for debut while he remained behind in the practice rooms. In 2014, he watched his close friends Bam Bam, Jackson, JB, Yugyeom, and Mark debut as GOT7. In 2015, he watched Young K and Day 6 make their debut. Later that same year, he watched his dorm mates Sana, Nayeon, Jihyo, and Chaeyoung launch into superstardom as Twice. Year after year, the trainees he ate dinner with, practiced with, and shared living spaces with walked out of the trainee system and onto global television stages, while Bang Chan stayed in the basement, wondering if his turn would ever come. From a financial perspective, JYP Entertainment's long-term investment in Bang Chan was colossal. Maintaining a trainee at a top-tier Korean agency involves substantial monthly outlays for housing, food, specialized vocal coaching, advanced dance training, music production software, instrument lessons, and language instruction. With average monthly trainee expenses running around 3 million Korean won per person, JYP invested over 250 million won, roughly $200,000, directly into Bang Chan's development long before he ever released a commercial song. Most agencies drop trainees if they do not fit a planned group lineup within 3 or 4 years, as the financial overhead continues to accumulate without guaranteed returns. But JYP kept funding Bang Chan year after year because company leadership recognized something extraordinary in his musical versatility, leadership capacity, and work ethic. He wasn't just learning how to perform, he was learning how to arrange audio, use digital audio workstations, program drums, and direct vocal tracks. By 2016, after 5 years of waiting, Bang Chan decided he couldn't just wait for the company to give him a team, he had to build one. He gathered 2 younger trainees who possessed exceptional rap talent and songwriting drive, Seo Changbin and Han Ji-sung, and formed the hip-hop production unit 3 Racha. Operating under the stage name CB97 alongside Spurb and J.1, Bang Chan took on the primary role of music arranger and audio engineer for the trio. Using laptops and basic audio interfaces inside JYP practice rooms, 3 Racha wrote, recorded, mixed, and released their own original mixtapes onto SoundCloud without official corporate promotion. Tracks like Runner's High and Matryoshka demonstrated that Bang Chan was capable of producing tracks that sounded as polished and aggressive as professional releases. When JYP founder Park Jin-young evaluated 3 Racha's work, he realized that Bang Chan possessed a level of musical self-sufficiency that no other trainee in the company's history had displayed. This realization led to an unprecedented decision in 2017. Typically in the K-pop industry, executive management, A&R departments, and visual directors handpick every member of a new group based on market testing, age compatibility, and visual concepts. But Park Jin-young handed Bang Chan the ultimate test. He gave him complete freedom to select his own group members from JYP's trainee roster, create the group's name, design the logo, and define their musical concept. Bang Chan personally curated the lineup, selecting Lee No for his technical dance leadership, Changbin and Han for their creative production power, Hyunjin for his explosive performance growth, Felix for his unique vocal bass, Seungmin for his vocal stability, and I.N for his raw potential and work ethic. He named the group Stray Kids, symbolizing young people breaking away from traditional societal expectations to forge their own path. During the 2017 Net Survival show, when JYP executives eliminated Lee No and Felix due to minor missteps, Bang Chan fought relentlessly to bring them back, insisting to Park Jin-young that Stray Kids could only exist as a complete 9-member team. His insistence paid off, and JYP reinstated both members for the final live broadcast. Following Stray Kids' official debut on March 25, 2018, Bang Chan became the operational core of the entire group. Serving as leader, main producer, lead vocalist, lead dancer, and rapper, his work volume was relentless. He spent endless nights inside JYP's recording studios, arranging backing tracks, editing vocal takes, writing lyrics, and preparing stage audio for world tours. His dedication registered on paper. Bang Chan accumulated over 180 official song credits with the Korea Music Copyright Association, KOMCA, making him one of the highest credited idol producers in the entire music industry. To maintain a direct, unedited connection with fans worldwide, Bang Chan hosted a weekly live broadcast called Chan's Room for over 200 episodes, spending hours talking to fans, playing songs by other artists, and giving insight into the music production process. His leadership turned Stray Kids into a self-producing global powerhouse that didn't rely on external hitmakers. In July 2024, Bang Chan led all 8 members of Stray Kids to renew their exclusive contracts with JYP Entertainment early, securing the group's future years ahead of schedule. That unity propelled them to historic achievements. By September 2025, Stray Kids' 4th studio album Karma debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart. It was their 7th consecutive album to achieve a number 1 debut, establishing a record unmatched by any artist in the 70-year history of the Billboard 200. To honor this achievement, Park Jin-young presented Bang Chan and each of his members with a framed plaque containing 20 don, 75 grams, of pure gold, valued at over 100 million won total across the group. When photos of Bang Chan holding the gold plaque were posted online with the caption "Thank you, PD Nim," fans remembered the 13-year-old boy who had arrived in Seoul alone in 2011. JYP Entertainment invested 7 years of living expenses, state-of-the-art studio facilities, complete creative autonomy, and a pure gold plaque into Bang Chan. But the single most valuable gift JYP ever gave him was the trust to assemble his own team from scratch. And if you think Bang Chan's journey as the architect of the group was intense, wait until you hear about the youngest member he chose, the member who had to fight harder than anyone else just to survive the cut. Number 4, the youngest trainee who turned criticism into pure vocal gold, I.N. On February 8, 2001, Young Hyunjin was born in Busan, South Korea, growing up as the middle child of 3 brothers in a supportive family. When he was just 7 years old, a local scout noticed his bright smile and expressive eyes, leading to a brief stint as a child model. But modeling didn't satisfy him. After a photo shoot where he was replaced on short notice, young Hyunjin realized he didn't want his future to depend solely on how he looked in front of a camera. He wanted to perform, express emotion, and sing. He began listening to Korean trot music and pop ballads, eventually enrolling in a music academy in Busan to learn formal vocal techniques. In 2016, at 15 years old, he auditioned for JYP Entertainment. When the company offered him a trainee contract, he made the decision to move from Busan to Seoul, stepping into one of the most competitive idol training environments in Asia as the youngest trainee in his group. When Young Hyunjin entered JYP Entertainment in 2016, he faced immediate obstacles that set him apart from his fellow trainees. He was young, lacked formal dance experience, and was wearing metallic dental braces that physically altered his mouth positioning, making precise vocal articulation and pitch control significantly more difficult. In K-pop vocal training, clear diction and vocal placement are crucial, and singing with braces requires adjusting jaw movement and breath control to avoid pitch slips. When the Net Survival show Stray Kids began filming in 2017, Hyunjin, taking the stage name I.N, was placed under an intense spotlight. Throughout the broadcast, JYP founder Park Jin-young delivered some of the sharpest, most direct evaluations of the entire show to IN. Park Jin-young repeatedly pointed out his pitch instability, vocal awkwardness, and tight facial expressions, questioning publicly whether the 16-year-old possessed the technical foundation required to debut in a major agency's flagship boy group. For a young trainee performing on national television while still adjusting to life away from his family in Busan, that level of public criticism was emotionally crushing. However, JYP Entertainment's internal evaluation system saw something beyond his initial technical shortcomings. The agency recognized that I possessed an extraordinary work ethic, an infectious positive energy that glued the group together, and a unique, bright vocal timbre that could provide a sharp melodic contrast to the heavy, aggressive rap lines of 3 Racha. Rather than cutting him from the lineup, JYP invested heavily in his vocal remediation. The company assigned specialized vocal coaches to work directly with I.N, focusing on breath support, jaw relaxation, and pitch stabilization around his braces. JYP covered his housing, daily expenses, vocal instruction, dance classes, and tuition at the prestigious School of Performing Arts Seoul, SOPA. Behind the scenes, group leader Bang Chan spent hours after official practice ended, sitting at the piano with I.N to break down vocal lines sentence by sentence. This combination of agency-funded instruction and internal member support created an environment where I.N could build confidence under pressure. A major physical and psychological milestone occurred in January 2019, when I.N officially had his dental braces removed after wearing them for years throughout his trainee period and debut year. The removal marked a turning point in his vocal career. Free from the physical constraint, I.N's vocal resonance expanded rapidly. Working closely alongside fellow member Seungmin in Stray Kids' vocal subunit, Vocal Racha, I.N systematically transformed his reputation from a sub-vocalist who struggled with pitch into a lead vocalist capable of delivering bright, stable, and high-register vocal hooks during massive stadium tours. His vocal versatility extended into traditional genres as well. In 2020, he participated in MBC's music variety show Favorite Entertainment, where senior Korean music figures praised his natural feel for trot music, showcasing a vocal agility that surprised industry critics who had previously dismissed his range. JYP continued to invest in platforms that showcased I.N's individual artistic growth. Through the SKZ Player platform, I.N released Magne on Top in January 2021, featuring bandmates Bang Chan and Changbin. The track embraced his status as the group's youngest member, Magne, combining humorous, self-assured lyrics with a catchy hip-hop beat that exploded across social media platforms, amassing tens of millions of views. He followed this in 2022 with the self-written ballad Hug Me, demonstrating his developing skills as a songwriter and lyricist. As his confidence grew, the fashion industry took notice of his striking visual evolution. In September 2023, I.N attended the Alexander McQueen Spring/Summer 2024 show during Paris Fashion Week, capturing international fashion press attention. By 2024, his global appeal led to major luxury brand partnerships, culminating in official global ambassadorships with Italian luxury house Bottega Veneta and fine jewelry brand Damiani. In July 2024, I.N joined all 7 of his bandmates in renewing his exclusive contract with JYP Entertainment early, cementing his commitment to the group's ongoing global trajectory. The collective decision paved the way for historic success. In September 2025, Stray Kids' 4th full-length album Karma debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart. This achievement marked the group's 7th consecutive album to debut at the top spot on the chart, establishing a record never before achieved by any act in Billboard's 70-year history. To commemorate this unprecedented milestone, Park Jin-young presented I.N and each member of Stray Kids with a framed plaque containing 20 don, 75 grams, of pure gold, valued at over 100 million Korean won across the team. When I.N held that gold plaque alongside his members, it represented the ultimate validation of a journey that began with brutal televised criticism. JYP Entertainment provided I.N with specialized vocal coaching, high school tuition, luxury brand positioning, dedicated solo platforms, and a pure gold plaque to mark a record-breaking Billboard career. But the most valuable investment JYP ever made in young Hyunjin was choosing patience over elimination when he was a teenager struggling with his braces on national television. And if you think I.N's transformation from a criticized trainee to a global lead vocalist was incredible, wait until you hear about the member whose creative mind was so fast it almost broke him. Number 3. The one-year bet that unlocked K-pop's ultimate ace, Han. On September 14, 2000, Han Ji-sung was born in Incheon, South Korea, before spending a major portion of his childhood growing up in Malaysia, where he attended Fairview International School. Surrounded by a quiet, international lifestyle, he developed a deep passion for hip-hop and songwriting, spending hours crafting verses in his bedroom. However, his parents envisioned a traditional academic future for him, wanting him to focus on his education and eventually attend university. In 2015, at 14 years old, Han returned to South Korea to take his high school equivalency exams and test whether his musical ambitions had a realistic future. His parents were deeply skeptical of the volatile entertainment industry, leading to a high-stakes agreement between Han and his family. He was given exactly 1 year to secure a trainee contract with a legitimate entertainment agency. If he failed to pass an audition within 12 months, he promised to give up his music career entirely, return to Malaysia, and enroll in college. With the clock ticking on his 12-month ultimatum, Han enrolled in DEF Music Academy in Seoul to study rap and dance performance. His path into JYP Entertainment occurred almost entirely by accident. On the day of a scheduled JYP audition in 2015, Han didn't originally intend to try out for the agency. A friend from his academy was going to the audition location, and Han decided to tag along for a simple, casual reason. He wanted to see if he could spot any famous K-pop celebrities outside the company building. While waiting at the venue, his friend persuaded him to fill out an application form and step into the audition room. Han stood before the recruiters, delivered a spontaneous, high-energy rap performance, and demonstrated a vocal control that surprised the evaluation panel. A few days later, JYP Entertainment called him with a formal acceptance offer. The one-year bet with his parents was won with months to spare, and 15-year-old Han officially entered the agency's trainee system in 2015. When Han joined JYP, company vocal and rap trainers quickly realized they had stumbled upon a rare musical talent, an all-rounder who could execute rapid-fire hip-hop cadences, hit high-register vocal belts, and write complete song melodies on the fly. In late 2016, Han joined forces with Bang Chan and Changbin to form 3 Racha, taking on the production moniker J.1. Operating inside JYP's basement studios, Han became the unit's melodic engine, capable of writing catchy hooks and complex chorus structures in a matter of minutes. Tracks like Runner's High and Matryoshka, uploaded independently to SoundCloud, showcased his ability to switch seamlessly from aggressive, technical rap verses to crystal-clear singing. When the 2017 net survival show Stray Kids aired, Park Jin-young frequently highlighted Han's extraordinary versatility, noting that his presence on stage gave the entire group an immediate edge in live stability and creative output. JYP Entertainment's ongoing financial and operational investment in Han went far beyond standard trainee costs. The agency provided him with high-end digital audio workstations, dedicated studio space, and complete creative control over his songwriting. This institutional backing paid massive dividends following Stray Kids' official debut on March 25, 2018. Han became one of the primary lyrical architects behind the group's biggest hits, writing and composing tracks that defined their discography. His prolific speed in the studio led to an extraordinary accomplishment. Han accumulated over 160 official song credits registered with the Korea Music Copyright Association, KOMCA, making him one of the youngest artists in K-pop history to earn full, elevated membership in the prestigious copyright organization. Whether crafting intense hip-hop anthems or acoustic ballads, Han's rapid songwriting pace became a major driver of Stray Kids' commercial success. However, the immense pressure of maintaining such a high creative output took a heavy toll. In December 2019, JYP Entertainment issued an official statement regarding Han's health, disclosing that he was experiencing severe symptoms of psychological anxiety and extreme tension when placed in close proximity to large crowds. In an industry that historically pushed artists to work through personal struggles, JYP made a crucial, policy-defining choice. The agency prioritized Han's long-term mental health over short-term commercial engagements. JYP provided immediate access to professional medical treatment, psychological therapy, and scheduled rest periods. The company officially pulled Han from high-profile public appearances, including multiple fan-signing events and the filming of the 2020 Idol Star Athletics Championships, allowing him to step back from the spotlight whenever his condition required. This institutional support allowed Han to manage his anxiety safely, ensuring he could continue his career without sacrificing his personal well-being. As he recovered, JYP continued to fund dedicated solo platforms to showcase his personal emotional landscape. Through the SKZ Player and SKZ Record channels, Han released a series of critically acclaimed solo tracks, including Close in May 2020, Wish You Back in 2021, Happy in 2021, Run in 2022, Volcano in 2023, Miserable, You and Me, in 2023, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 featuring Mixes Bay in 2024. These self-written tracks explored complex themes of isolation, love, existential longing, and personal growth, proving to fans and critics alike that Han was not just a fast rapper, but a deeply introspective songwriter whose music carried genuine emotional weight. His solo releases garnered millions of streams independently, reinforcing his standing as one of the most complete artistic packages in modern Korean music. In July 2024, Han joined all 7 of his bandmates in renewing his exclusive contract with JYP Entertainment ahead of schedule, confirming his alignment with the company's future vision. The renewed commitment brought historic global results. By September 2025, Stray Kids achieved a monumental milestone when their 4th full-length album Karma debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart. This marked the group's 7th consecutive album to enter the chart at the top spot, an achievement unmatched by any music artist in the 70-year history of Billboard. To celebrate this record-breaking feat, JYP founder Park Jin-young presented Han and each of his members with a framed plaque containing 20 don, 75 grams, of pure gold, valued at over 100 million Korean won total across the group. JYP Entertainment provided Han with top-tier production equipment, medical and psychological support, full creative freedom, dedicated solo platforms, and a pure gold plaque to commemorate 7 consecutive Billboard #1 albums. But the most valuable thing JYP ever gave Han Ji-sung was the open door when he walked in to spot a celebrity, and the care to protect his mind when the pressure became overwhelming. And if you think Han's journey from a casual audition applicant to K-pop's ultimate ace was extraordinary, wait until you hear about the member who started with zero vocal training and turned himself into the group's unwavering vocal anchor. Number 2, the baseball prodigy who became K-pop's unshakable vocal anchor, Seungmin. On September 22, 2000, Kim Seungmin was born in Seoul, South Korea, growing up in a family with deep athletic roots. His grandfather had been a competitive high school baseball player, and young Seungmin inherited that passion for sports early in life. As a student at Cheongdam High School in Seoul, he spent years training as a right-handed pitcher, developing a powerful throw, precise hand-eye coordination, and the intense mental focus required to stand on a pitcher's mound under pressure. He dreamed of pursuing a professional baseball career. However, due to changing family circumstances and personal considerations, Seungmin realized that his path in professional athletics was shifting. Rather than letting go of his competitive drive, he redirected his athletic discipline toward a completely different discipline, vocal music. He began taking formal singing lessons, treating vocal mechanics with the exact same technical precision, muscle memory training, and repetitive practice routines he had previously applied to pitching. In February 2017, Seungmin decided to test his vocal development on the biggest competitive stage available for an unrepresented Korean teenager, JYP Entertainment's 13th Open Audition. The JYP Open Audition is notoriously ruthless, drawing thousands of aspiring singers, dancers, and performers from across South Korea and internationally. Seungmin walked into the audition halls without an agency backing him, performed a classic ballad with clean pitch control and zero vocal strain, and advanced through every elimination tier. When the final results were announced, 17-year-old Kim Seungmin won second place overall out of thousands of applicants. His remarkable podium finish secured him an immediate trainee contract with JYP Entertainment in early 2017, granting him entry into the company's elite development system just months before the agency began assembling its next boy group project. When Seungmin entered JYP Entertainment in 2017, his trainee period was shorter than most, lasting roughly 1 year before debut. But what he lacked in trainee duration, he made up for in athletic work ethic. When the net survival show Stray Kids began filming later that year, Seungmin quickly stood out to Park Jin-young as the most reliable, pitch-perfect vocalist among the trainees. While other trainees struggled with breath control or vocal instability during high-energy dance routines, Seungmin maintained a steady, unshakable vocal core. Park Jin-young repeatedly commended his clean posture, consistent intonation, and disciplined approach to live performance. His athletic background as a pitcher proved to be a decisive advantage. He understood how to regulate his breathing under physical exhaustion, enabling him to deliver stable live vocals while executing intense choreography. JYP Entertainment recognized that Seungmin represented the vocal bedrock of the group's future sound. The agency invested heavily in his advanced vocal training, pairing him with elite vocal coaches and granting him access to professional recording infrastructure. Seungmin approached his vocal development with obsessive discipline. He became famous within the company for maintaining daily vocal journals, meticulously writing down vocal cord exercises, pitch corrections, resonance feedback, and physical health logs after every single practice session. While forming Stray Kids' vocal subunit Vocal Racha alongside I.N, Seungmin took on an informal leadership role, helping his younger bandmate refine his pitch control and vocal placement. JYP covered his housing, educational expenses at Cheongdam High School, and specialized vocal instruction, nurturing an anchor vocalist who could execute complex live vocal arrangements night after night on world tours. Following Stray Kids' official debut on March 25, 2018, Seungmin's vocal reliability led to high demand across the Korean television and drama industry, establishing him as one of K-pop's leading original soundtrack, OST, vocalists. In October 2021, JYP facilitated his solo OST debut with Here Always for the hit TVN drama Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha. The track showcased his warm, rich vocal tone and emotional delivery, debuting inside the top 10 on Billboard's World Digital Song Sales chart, an extraordinary achievement for a K-pop idol's solo drama soundtrack. His success as an OST vocalist expanded rapidly. He released Close to You for Love and Contract in 2022, Phobia for the webtoon I'm the Queen in This Life in early 2024, and Was Our Meeting a Coincidence? For Night Photo Studio in mid-2024. In 2025, his OST momentum continued with My Destiny for the Potato Lab, Start, for Resident Playbook alongside Lee No and I.N, and It Has to Be You for Would You Marry Me? Each solo soundtrack release was managed and promoted across JYP's global distribution networks, broadening Seungmin's public profile beyond traditional idol music listeners. On March 18, 2024, Seungmin experienced a full-circle moment that bridged his childhood dream with his global stardom. During the MLB World Tour Seoul Series 2024, held at the Gocheok Sky Dome in Seoul, Major League Baseball invited Seungmin to throw the ceremonial first pitch for the game between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Korean national team. Standing on a professional Major League mound in front of tens of thousands of stadium fans and international television cameras, Seungmin wore a customized Dodgers jersey, wound up with perfect pitching mechanics, and threw a flawless strike directly into the catcher's mitt. MLB commentators and sports media outlets praised the pitch for its form and accuracy, calling it one of the cleanest celebrity first pitches in recent baseball history. JYP continued to provide platforms for Seungmin's personal songwriting and solo work through the SKZ Player and SKZ Record initiatives. He released self-written tracks like Stars and Raindrops in 2022, As We Are in 2024, and Still Here in 2026, a track written for him by fellow member Changbin, allowing him to showcase his acoustic vocal palette and lyricism to millions of global fans. In July 2024, Seungmin joined all 7 of his bandmates in renewing his exclusive contract with JYP Entertainment early, reaffirming his foundational role in the group's long-term future. That collective decision set the stage for historic global achievements. By September 2025, Stray Kids' 4th full-length album Karma debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart. It marked the group's 7th consecutive album to enter the chart at the top spot, a record unmatched by any music artist in the 70-year history of Billboard. To commemorate this monumental milestone, Park Jin-young presented Seungmin and each member of Stray Kids with a framed plaque containing 20 don, 75 grams, of pure gold, valued at over 100 million Korean won total across the team. When Seungmin held that gold plaque, it symbolized the journey of a boy who once gave up his baseball glove to pick up a microphone, only to conquer both worlds. JYP Entertainment provided Seungmin with top-tier vocal coaching, OST distribution platforms, Major League sports exposure, solo creative outlets, and a pure gold plaque to mark 7 consecutive Billboard #1 albums. But the most valuable thing JYP ever gave Kim Seungmin was the 2nd-place finish in that 2017 open audition, the contract that turned his athletic discipline into the unwavering vocal anchor of a global empire. And if you think Seungmin's rise from a high school pitcher to an untouchable vocal anchor was impressive, wait until you see number 1, the member whose visual power, dance genius, and raw artistic resilience made him the ultimate center of Stray Kids. Number 1, the street cast trainee who defied the visual label to crown an empire, Hyunjin. On March 20, 2000, Hwang Hyunjin was born in Seoul, South Korea, growing up as an only child in a close-knit family. During his early childhood, he spent a brief period living in Las Vegas, Nevada, where he attended school and went by the English name Sam, giving him an early exposure to Western culture before returning to Seoul. Growing up back in Korea, Hyunjin had no initial intentions of entering the entertainment industry. He focused on his high school studies, sports, and normal teenage activities. That changed abruptly in 2015 during a weekend shopping trip with his mother. While walking through a crowded commercial district, a stranger suddenly reached out and grabbed Hyunjin by the wrist. Frightened by the unexpected physical encounter, Hyunjin backed away, assuming the person was attempting a street scam or financial fraud. The stranger quickly pulled out an official business card, identifying himself as a talent recruiter for JYP Entertainment. Skeptical of the random encounter, Hyunjin insisted on seeing proper corporate identification and spent the evening researching the recruiter's credentials online with his mother before finally deciding to attend a formal audition at JYP headquarters. When 15-year-old Hwang Hyunjin passed his audition and entered JYP Entertainment in 2015, he was immediately thrust into a high-pressure environment where his striking facial features made him an instant focal point. However, that physical advantage came with a bitter, frustrating stigma. During his early trainee months, several fellow trainees and casual observers made dismissive comments to him, telling him directly that he didn't need to push himself hard in dance or vocal evaluations because his visuals alone would guarantee him a spot in JYP's next boy group. For a fierce, proud teenager, being labeled as just a face was deeply insulting. Hyunjin made a personal vow that he would never allow his career to rely on superficial appearance. He threw himself into dance training with an obsessive, relentless discipline that startled company trainers. Night after night, long after official practice sessions had concluded and other trainees had gone home to the dorms, Hyunjin remained alone inside JYP's subterranean dance studios, practicing basic isolations, popping mechanics, and fluid choreography until his practice clothes were completely soaked with sweat. He transformed himself from someone who had zero formal dance background in 2015 into one of the most technically formidable main dancers in the agency. When the net survival show Stray Kids aired in late 2017, Hyunjin's intense work ethic delivered undeniable results on national television. Serving as a key member of the group's performance line, Dansaracha, alongside Lee No and Felix, Hyunjin commanded the center position with an explosive combination of fluid body control, facial drama, and sharp rap delivery. Park Jin-young repeatedly highlighted his dramatic stage presence during evaluations, noting that Hyunjin possessed a rare ability to draw the camera's focus while maintaining full physical precision during complex group routines. JYP Entertainment recognized that in Hyunjin, they possessed not merely a visual center, but a performance powerhouse who could headline global stadium tours. The agency invested heavily in his artistic development, funding advanced dance instruction, vocal coaching, rap training, housing, and his high school education at the prestigious School of Performing Arts Seoul, SOPA, where he graduated alongside fellow industry peers. Following Stray Kids' official debut on March 25, 2018, Hyunjin's reputation as a top-tier dancer expanded rapidly across the global music scene. A defining milestone in his performance career occurred in October 2021, when the renowned global performance platform studio CHUM selected Hyunjin as its official artist of the month. For his featured solo showcase, Hyunjin choreographed and performed an intense, cinematic dance routine set to Post Malone's Motley Crue. The performance was a viral sensation, showcasing his incredible flexibility, rhythmic control, and commanding charisma. The video accumulated over 50 million views, earning praise from international choreographers and cementing Hyunjin's status as one of the premier dancers of his generation in K-pop. Beyond dance, Hyunjin developed a deep passion for fine arts, spending his personal time mastering oil and watercolor painting. He began sharing his intricate, emotionally evocative paintings on social media under the tag Hyunpic, revealing a sophisticated visual artist whose talents extended far beyond the stage. JYP Entertainment's strategic positioning of Hyunjin's individual brand laid the groundwork for historic breakthroughs in the global fashion industry. In July 2023, Italian luxury fashion house Versace officially announced Hwang Hyunjin as its global brand ambassador. Chief Creative Officer Donatella Versace publicly praised his bold artistic confidence and unique personal style, making Hyunjin the first South Korean idol in history to hold the global ambassadorship for the legendary Italian house. He starred in major international holiday campaigns, attended Milan Fashion Week as a primary front-row guest, and generated record-breaking social media engagement for the brand worldwide. Building on his high fashion dominance, luxury jewelry house Cartier appointed Hyunjin as a global brand ambassador in September 2024, featuring him in major editorial features for Esquire Korea showcasing Cartier's iconic Trinity collection. These luxury partnerships represented a massive commercial return on JYP's original investment in a street-cast teenager. Through the SKZ Player and SKZ Records series, as well as official album tracklists, JYP funded and distributed Hyunjin's original solo compositions, including Ice Cream, Love Untold, Contradicting, Hey Neighbor, and his solo track So Good, featured on the 2024 Hop Hip Tape. These self-written tracks demonstrated his growing sophistication as a lyricist and melodic composer, proving that his artistic evolution was continuous. In July 2024, Hyunjin joined all 7 of his bandmates in renewing his exclusive contract with JYP Entertainment early, reaffirming his unshakable bond with the group and the agency that raised him. That shared commitment propelled Stray Kids to unprecedented historical heights. In September 2025, Stray Kids' 4th full-length album Karma debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart. This marked the group's 7th consecutive album to enter the chart at the top spot, an extraordinary record unmatched by any musical act in the entire 70-year history of the Billboard 200. To celebrate this historic milestone, JYP founder Park Jin-young presented Hyunjin and each of his bandmates with a framed plaque containing 20 Dan, 75 grams, of pure gold, valued at over 100 million Korean won total across the team. JYP Entertainment provided Hyunjin with elite dance instruction, high school tuition, global fashion ambassadorship positioning, dedicated creative platforms, and a pure gold plaque to mark 7 consecutive Billboard #1 albums. But the most valuable thing JYP ever gave Hwang Hyunjin was the platform to prove that he was never just a pretty face, turning a street-cast teenager into the crown jewel of a global music empire.